Good morning. This is All Angles. Thanks there to Annika and the team at Newslink from our Cape Town studios. That is the real relay of teamwork here at eNCA. Thank you, Annika. Let's pick up now. The diamond hunt continues in KwaHlathi outside Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal. This as more and more people are discovering what they believe to be diamonds. People have traveled from as far as the Western Cape and Gauteng to hunt for the precious stones. But are they really diamonds? Well, many aren't too concerned about that as the search continues, at least for now. Let's speak now to geologist John Bristow, who joins me now for that conversation. So, Dr. Bristow, thank you for joining me and for your insights. So, just thinking about the situation, the first thing that struck me is visually, to me, having lived and covered the situation in Zimbabwe for a number of years, it reminded me of the situation in an area called Chiadzwa in the east of the country around 2007, 2008. Just the hordes of people out there hoping to strike it rich in formal mining, hoping for alluvial diamonds. It then got me wondering, if these are diamonds in the area of KwaHlathi in Ladysmith, would that be an aberration? Would that be something that you don't expect as a geologist, or would it be right in line with the history of development of, alluvial deposits, etc.?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Yeah, thanks for inviting me to get my opinion. Look, you're referring to Marangi, the deposit in southeast Zimbabwe, which unfortunately, if you really look at it carefully, was very different to what we're seeing in KwaZulu-Natal. The Marangi deposit was on an old stable block of the Zimbabwe, or Kraton as we call it. And when we look at the situation down in near Ladysmith, where I actually grew up, it's effectively what we call an off-Kraton setting and not a typical environment where geologically we would expect diamonds.
So you're saying it's an off-Kraton, and you're making a distinction between that and the Great Dike in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, so I'm making a distinction, very distinct one, between the Great Dike, the very old core of Zimbabwe. And again, if we look at our country, all our diamond deposits and our amazing kimberlite mines, many of them now depleted, have been in the interior of South Africa, up above on the escarpment, where again, the underlying geology, and we can refer there to the Wits Basin with all its gold, and the Bushveld complex, which is producing lots of PGMs. But those rocks are Archean or what we call Proterozoic in age, mostly over 2 billion years. So very similar to the Zimbabwe Kraton, and we refer to the Karpval Kraton in this part of the world. And then when you drop down the escarpment into KZN, and you'll know that road, you obviously a traveled man, we get to KZN, and we get to places like Ladysmith, which are underlain by very much younger geology, typically about 1,000 million years. Still old, but a lot younger than the interior of this country. And that's what we call an off-Kraton situation. And if you look at the whole of sort of East Griqualand, the Eastern Cape, our KZN area, it's all young, what we call Karoo geology, and not a typical environment where you would get diamondiferous kimberlites or diamondiferous source rocks that could have produced alluvial deposits like you have at Marangi in Zimbabwe. So Marangi is a very different setting, unfortunately, and I'm just surprised and a bit disappointed that our CGS, for example, the Council for Geoscience, which has an office in Maritzburg, hasn't perhaps reacted to this situation more rapidly. Yes, there are lots of, shiny rocks and crystals coming out of that area. And I suspect, just looking at the pictures that I've seen, is that they're probably going to turn out to be quartz crystals. Quartz is a form of silica, so, glass the same as we get in our windows. And it can be quite pretty and quite shiny, and you get well-developed crystals from time to time in that area.
There's something else that struck me, Dr. Bristow, is just how clear these, rocks or crystals or, what people are hoping will turn out to be diamonds, how clear they are. And I got thinking about when Naomi Campbell was testifying in the trial of Charles Taylor, and she was asked about how the raw diamonds that she was given by Charles Taylor, how they looked, and she said they were dirty-looking stones. Well, what those people are holding there in KwaHlathi are not dirty-looking stones. Does anything turn on how these rocks are looking as they come out of the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Again, you'll make a geologist. So yes, if they prove to be quartz crystals, which I'm very confident they are, sadly for those people, they can be super clear and super shiny, and really good quality quartz crystals do have some value. And as I say, the composition of those minerals is effectively silica, SiO2. It's the same stuff that minerals and glass bottles are made out of it. So it can be, extremely high quality. It can be very clear. And I think, again, what's confusing the issue is that there are some of those very clear crystals. And then just go across to our West Coast. I mean, you made a comment about people coming from the West Coast. And our West Coast, has some of the most amazing diamond deposits in the world. All the diamonds that have come off the old beaches in which the beers are mining out of the sea on drowned beaches with their big mining boats. So at first glance, if you looked at high quality gem diamonds, shiny stones from the West Coast, and if you looked at some of the clear grass crystals, particularly if they're slightly rounded and abraded, people or the uninformed eye will say, wow, that looks like a diamond. But again, if you take, the setting and some of the pictures, as I say, we've seen, I think the likelihood of those being diamonds is very unlikely. And in fact, as a child, I walked many of those hills and collected those shiny crystals, which are formed by an interaction of the very hot dolerite magma. So most of KZN, that area is covered by, or has big areas of black rock. It makes wonderful road metal. We quarry it on the side of roads, and it's called dolerite. It was 1,000 to 1,200 degrees magma that actually intruded up cracks in the Earth's surface and formed the Lesotho Plateau, the lavas in Lesotho. And that hot magma, when it interacts with coal sediments, sedimentary rocks, coal-bearing strata, for example, in northern KZN and Ladysmith and those areas, it very often, with the temperature, it bakes and sweats the moisture and the silica out of those sediments, and it precipitates crystals as we see those people finding.
All right, thank you so much. Fascinating insights there from the geologist John Bristow, giving you insights from his work and his experience, but also the lived and walked experience from his days when he was growing up in that area of KwaZulu-Natal as well, just combining the two for you. That's how it's looking at the moment. We'll have more for you at the top of the hour.